Welcome back to the Launch Point Leader podcast. My name's Lori.
This is Bo.
And we're so excited to be back here with you another week as we launch into our January series, as we talk about your launch points and really those foundations you can be setting yourself up for as a leader as we get into the new year. And so this week we're so excited to be back, and we have a letter that someone's written in that I think really embodies important foundation that we need to talk about as we set up this year.
Letter 1 of the new year.
Letter 1,
Yep.
very first person. We're so excited. Thank you so much for writing in. And the letter today says, Dear Launch Point, I've been thinking a lot about values lately, both my company's and my own. My organization has a clear set of core values, and I believe in many of them. But last week in an interview, a candidate asked me what my personal values were, and I didn't know where to start. I basically just rephrased my company's values, which was fine in the moment, but has left me seeing a big gap in my leadership. I'm lucky to love the company I work for and my team I get to lead, but I've honestly not spent as much time thinking about what I value and how to communicate that, or even how to live it out alongside the values of my company. So as I start the journey to close this gap, how to create a clear set of personal values that aren't just a cheap remake of my company's values. And once I do define them, how do I actually use them day to day in my leadership in a way that comes across as authentic to my team? Signed, Values, Voyager.
I think it's a great thing that we're actually thinking about this.
Yeah.
And I think, like you said, this is a great way to start the new year because, in my personal opinion, and I think you would agree, the mission or vision and then the values are the core principles that have to be in place in order for the business, the organization, the team to achieve whatever it is that you're trying to achieve. So great question. Love that it came up in an interview and that it was kind of like, ooh.
I know that it is those moments that cause you to like pause and like take a breath and realize like you've missed something so foundational to yourself, but it's not uncommon is the other thing I want to stress. Like there are so many people that think values are for an entrepreneur setting up a company, and it's maybe something in my personal life, but as a leadership philosophy, if you are not the leader, maybe you don't think of it as much.
Yeah. I think, it always comes from unexpected places.
Yeah.
I think is the most quality of like internal reflections come from the most unexpected places. So I would say, let's start here. From my personal opinion, I would say, hey, look, every value that you create, and I think this can be interchanged with mission, personal mission as well, because I think that's really important. But every value or mission that is personal to you, it's got to support the companies because that's where you are. It's what you're working with. It doesn't need to take a right-hand turn from it. So it's got to support that. If it's me, what I've done in the past, what I recommend for people to do is to sit down and go, all right, for my team, for my department, for my organization, what are the things that what are the behaviors or characteristics that if my team could accomplish those behaviors or embody those behaviors and characteristics, it would lead us to wild success this coming year. And what are the ideals? So not the things that are as like hard or is like crystal clear to see behaviorally, but what are the ideals plus behaviors and characteristics that if we did these things, boy, it would help us to accomplish goals in a wildly successful way this year. That's where I would start. And I would just kind of have what we had talked about before, a whiteboard session or a legal pad session, and just write those things out. What are the words? What are the phrases for you that if we did those things, it would be an incredible year? And then take a second and go, okay, what connects with me personally? Because, you're going to list some things out that you're thinking about with process and system, and you're going to regurgitate some things too. Like you're going to repeat yourself, but with a different word. And go through and go, what are the things that really connect to my heart, to me as an individual, and in terms of my values that support the companies? And again, if we achieved these, like we would be able to be wildly successful. And I think that's where you get your package of values that you can then present to your team. So I think that's how I would go about cultivating your values. The only other like caveat I would say to that, and this might be more mission central than values focused, is, pay attention to the things that really are pulling your heartstrings and why you do what you do, and make sure there's a value or there's a part of the mission that you create for yourself or for your part of the business that captures that, because that's going to help capture your passion, your personal passion, to do those things and do them well.
Yeah. I think that's really great. Something that, as you were talking, that really stood out to me is, first off, we should have some kind of buzzer or bell that goes off anytime we mention a whiteboard session. I think it should just be like a special, like, ding, ding, ding. This is the foundation.
You're saying that's a thing for me, huh? Is that what you're saying?
It is, okay. And actually my husband, I would make fun of him sometimes because he's a software engineer. And so he had a mini whiteboard he would carry around with him. And I used to make fun of him like, oh, why do you need a whiteboard all the time? Like, paper will work.
He knows.
Now in my home office at home, I have a whiteboard. We talk about it all the time. Like, it is such a place to physically put out what's going on in your head. And it is something, I think, if you've listened to this show or even if it's your first episode, you'll know we do talk about whiteboard sessions a lot. And what that means is just time to get your thoughts out of your head. And I think for this person, they talked about having that moment and needing to process. That's a great place to start to process. And it can be pieces of paper. It can be electronically, like on your phone, to put out those notes. When we say whiteboard session, we're talking about taking time and just brain dumping and then using that to organize your thoughts.
Brain dumping.
Yeah.
Is that... We might trademark that. That's amazing.
I would love to if it is an original thought, but I feel as if I can't take it.
Good.
Thank you. If you are listening and that has not been heard before, the work's already being done. We're trademarking
That's
it.
Good.
But
that's good.
I have a suspicion that it's probably out there somewhere.
You're right, though. It's just about getting everything that's in your head and heart onto a piece of paper or onto something that you can see visually in one spot. So that then you can start there and it not just be rolling around in your head. That's all that means. Yeah, great.
And then the other thing that really stood out to me is this sounds like, they really do love the company they work for. Yeah. And it sounds like as they do go through their values, a lot of those probably will match up. And what a great feeling for you as a leader to know you are working for a company that you truly do believe in their mission and believe in their values. But as a leader, how do you live out your personal values every single day,
Well, I think once you've gone through that work to define what they are, and for you personally and for your department or for your organization that you're leading, I think there's really 3 to 4 things that you've got to do to make sure you're carrying those out and living them every single day. And the first is you've got to cast the vision about what the values are and why they're important. You've got to cast it convincingly, and you've got to cast it clearly. You've got to then connect. So if you think about the C's, right?
Yeah.
Cast it clearly, convincingly, and make it connect to the work that you do. So if you're taking this back to your team, it can't just be, these are the values that I hold.
Yeah.
It's got to be, these are the values that we hold that are personal to me. You've got to cast it convincingly, connect it to the work that we do. So how do we tell stories that recognize the actual work that's being done and make it go back to the value that we hold so dearly and so deeply? Because when we can do that, leaders have to be great storytellers. I'm convinced the longer I do this, we've got to be great storytellers, because we've got to be able to relate what the physical or mental or emotional work is that we're expending and how it ties back to the values and the mission that we say we're all about.
Yeah.
So as the leader of people, you've got to be a great connector of that. And I think finally, you've got to show value to those that display the values. And so sometimes that can be systematic, like, a program, or you write notes every week or whatever it might be. Sometimes it's in the moment, but you've got to make sure the people that are actually displaying the core values are actually feeling valued when they do that work for you in the business. Not just get the outcome that you're looking for, but they do those things that are going to get you to the point that you want to be.
That's fantastic, and really a tangible way to approach something that can feel it's the soft skill side of leadership, right? It's not as inherent as certain other things. Talk me through those C's one more time so we can get them. Boom, boom, boom.
I hope I can remember
You
them,
can.
right?
I believe in you. This is testing.
So you've got to cast it clearly.
Yeah.
There can't be any wiggle room. You've got to cast it convincingly. People have to believe that it actually connects to your heart. And then you've got to connect the what with the why. So all of the daily behaviors have to be connected back to the values or the mission that are represented by those daily behaviors.
That's good. See, I knew you knew it.
I got the 3 C's.
It's in your
I got
heart.
it.
You
Right?
live it
Didn't
out.
look
You
at my
know it.
notes at all.
Anything.
I just had it. It's
you
good
knew
to go.
it.
Yeah.
And that's great. And that's such a good actionable step and a great place people can see that and kind of work through that is from our free download we have this month, which is our leadership launch journal.
Love it.
As we talk about these foundations on our website through our social medias, you can access this and see that and kind of help you through that whiteboard mentality and like how to structure that. So I think it's really great and such a cool, I love how you've got it connected. We love an alliteration here.
Come on.
Anytime someone writes in a letter, I'm going to figure out how to make your name an alliteration. So
Love it.
the 3 C's right there for vision. One last thing I want to touch on here is talking about just them as a leader. They talk about how do I live these out day to day that feel authentic. So how do you take your values? You've done this, you've communicated it to your team, but how do you show them in the work you do every day that you live these out? They're not just pieces of paper.
We've said this before, I think on a previous episode, so I don't want to regurgitate it, but I do think one of the key factors in making this come to life is you as the leader doing whatever work gets you closest to that value that you say you're all about. So as an example, like if you are leading somebody that is cleaning the office, if you're leading somebody that's cleaning the restaurant and that's their primary job, you're going to have to do that work with them, or you're going to have to do that work so you can understand what they're going through so that you can make that connection, that you can create clarity for them to see how sweeping a floor or cleaning a toilet actually connects with the value of whatever it might be. So I think there's some additional work that the leader has to do other than just casting it and being convincing and all those things. That's that connection piece. I think that's probably the hardest piece.
Yeah.
Is that connectivity piece and making sure that every task has a connection point to a value. And we can't hit it every single time. We shouldn't have to hit every single time, but we're going to have to connect each task to the values that we're saying that we're about, and then show them they're valued by thanking them. A simple thank you, like a simple reminder to them to be like, what you just did right there has helped advance the mission that you signed up for. And you've shown like the values that we have. And it's just an incredible thing to see. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
And I think that's just, it's one of those things that's the easiest part. And it's also probably takes the most time, but it's the most valuable that you can do if you want to try to connect values to people's actions.
That's true. And I find it so often the thing people remember so much is when a leader takes the time to do that. I remember it in different points of my journey. I mean, it really sticks out, even if it doesn't impact you that much, but building that foundation and living it out. That's such a good example of doing that. Yeah, I think that's great. I think Values Voyager, like I said earlier, like this is something a lot of people deal with. Values are seen as something, you talk about as a child. You want these good values in yourself, but sometimes you don't. It takes some time to process, who am I as a leader? What do I want to be living out? Not only, of course, for my team, my company, but for myself personally.
Yeah. And I'll say this, and this is, I'll close with this. So I'm a lot of years into a lot of things, a lot of years into a career, a lot of years into a family. One of the things that I'm personally working on right now that I am behind on, and I've done a really poor job on, is what are the values for my family? What's our mission as a family? What do we want to be known for as a family?
Yeah.
And so I can really reflect with this letter to that from that standpoint. I feel like I'm pretty good there on the business standpoint, but from a family standpoint, I've been really challenged recently to go like, how do I take this idea and go into all the areas in life that I lead, whether it's family, personal, a board, a nonprofit, business, whatever. So this is worthy work to do because you've got to be connected personally to the things that you lead, and the people that are following you have to see that you're connected in a deeply personal way to it. So you're doing great work here, the listener that wrote this in. So continue the great work and do this work so that you can be the leader that they need you to be.
And that's a really good reminder as well, because it can be easy sometimes if you are more established in a role you've been doing, leading the same team for a long time. You can get really complacent and think, oh, I don't need to do this foundational stuff. I've laid the foundations. But I think that's a great check to realize, are there areas that I need to look at this in? Do I just need to recheck myself and make sure not only am I living these out, but how am I holding myself accountable to these things? And so, whatever method that is for you to really check in with yourself, this is so foundational. It doesn't have to be because you're a brand new leader doing this for the very first time.
Not at all. And like I said, we've done this for a lot of years, and I've had the same core values that are either mine or the company's for a lot of years. This is the first year that I actually went back and asked a core group of my leadership team to go, hey, do these make sense? Do these make sense? Do you feel them?
Yeah.
Do you feel that our organization is lined up with them? And it was the first year I've ever in 20 gone and asked for feedback. And it was great because it helped me to understand what they were seeing. Not that it's like, hey, what do you think our core values should be? I'm not asking you for that. I'm asking you to show me, like, did these show up every day?
Yeah.
And if so, how? And if not, which ones are the ones that don't show up? And it helped me to really realize what I need to do differently or continue to do and just amplify so that the organization and the people that I lead could really feel and sense the values that I have as a leader and that we have as an organization. So it's not a one-time exercise
Definitely
for newbies. I'm an oldie, and I need to do it more often. So great letter, great opportunity.
Yeah.
Here.
Thank you so much, Values Voyager, for writing in. And thank you for everyone listening. Please subscribe so you can hear just more from other leaders like yourself that are in similar situations or situations you've been in before, might be in the future. This year we're really excited to talk about lots of these different topics in this quarter as we talk about launching yourself and really setting up those leadership values. Please visit our website if you'd like to write in your own letter at launchpointleader.com, and for our free resource, the Launch Yourself Journal. It takes you through exactly what we talked about today, setting up those values, and even continues to go a little bit deeper of setting up your mission as well.
So that's launchpointleader.com.
Launchpointleader.com.
Free resource.
Absolutely.
Go get it.
Absolutely.
If you don't,
what are you waiting
on?
What
are you doing?
It's just sitting there, missing you, wanting you.
All right.
There
perfect.
you go.
Love it.
Thanks so much. Have a great week, and we'll see you next week.